Now, there's an issue, as our brother introduced, connected to tiwala, love charms. It's so close to us, but we probably haven't even ever thought about it. We maybe have encountered some of our brothers who are either new to Islam or not very knowledgeable about the rulings of Islam and the distinction that a Muslim has, and how a Muslim stands out with his religion from a non-Muslim in his behavior, in his customs, everything. So then, you may have seen some people saying, when I get married, I'm going to have a ring, and my wife is going to have a ring. And some people think this is custom that's openly permissible. This is just American culture, and Allah didn't forbid us from culture. He forbade us from religious practices that are other than what has been legislated. But for culture, we can still eat fried chicken, we can still eat spaghetti, we can still cook our customary foods and wear our customary clothes. So Allah doesn't forbid us from our custom. What they fail to realize is that the wearing of wedding rings, where does it come from? It comes from Christianity. And it's not just that. If you've heard this discussion before, you most likely have heard it limited to that, to the issue of avoiding imitating the Christians. Because the Christians have in their religion the placement of the ring on what they call the ring finger, on both the husband and the wife, and they have a pair of rings. And they believe that signifies their marriage, and they believe as well that that's an essential part of the marriage. And the jewelers amongst them have even specified how much money should be spent on the ring based on a person's income and so on. So this is the custom of non-Muslims around us, and it is rooted in religious custom. Not only just religious custom that's not our religion. There's something that Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen added here, and that is the i'tiqad. There's something about the heart being connected to these rings that has something to do with the chapter that we studied, like a love charm. Do you not know that when a woman in the non-Muslim culture around us, when a woman sees her husband not wearing the ring, what does she say? You don't love me anymore. What does she say? You're not being faithful to me. You're sneaking around or something. You took your ring off. It is very symbolic to them when the ring is removed. And it's very meaningful for their relationship to them when the ring is kept on in all situations. Some of them even write things inside of the ring. As Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen mentions their names, or they write certain inscriptions in the rings. Is this not from the generality of what we've heard about? That a person's heart now becomes attached to something, and a person thinks now, my marriage is good because of these rings that we wear. There's a connection between me and my wife through the rings that we wear. Is this not dangerous and in violation of what we've built up in the previous lessons? No? مَنْ تَعَلَّقَ شَيْئًا وُكِلَ إِلَيْهِ. Whoever puts his hope and his trust in a thing, meaning other than Allah, then Allah will entrust him to that. Allah will leave him. He will be left to that. So here some people, instead of taking the steps to improve their relationship with their wife, taking the steps to build trust, taking the steps to build a solid family, they believe that there's some kind of strength in their marriage and in the connection and the bond between themselves and their spouses as a result of wearing that ring. And they believe that bond is either weakened, removed altogether, or put on the side temporarily, or whatever the goal is when that ring is removed. Very, very dangerous because of the i'tiqad, because of the beliefs, the convictions, the connection of the heart to that ring. Not just because it's the culture of Christian people around us. Not just because of that. Highlighting this point and connecting it to our lesson makes it so much more important for us. As a note of practicality, our brothers are new. Many times they come to Islam. They don't know much about Islam. And so they don't see a problem with wearing the rings. And sometimes people come from Muslim countries and they don't know much about the origin of that. So they're mutasahil, they're lenient, and they don't think there's any problem with wearing those wedding rings. Because of the significance of the issue, it is definitely something that should come up as advice between people. And definitely at the time of a marriage, when a person insists on getting married, and what's the dowry going to be? It's going to be a ring. Wala bud. It's got to be a ring. We've got to sort this out. We've got to see, is this ring like a piece of jewelry, just like a necklace or a bracelet, and it just happened to be a ring? Or is the request for a ring as the dowry part of a set of 2 rings, one worn by the man, one worn by the woman, part of the culture and the religious custom of people from Jahiliyyah? Which one is it? If it's culture and custom from the Christians, then it must be warned against, and the person must be advised against it. And in this case, the person should be encouraged to choose something else for the man. Not as an obligation, not that it's impermissible that someone gets a ring for a dowry, but if there's such a great attachment to this ring, thinking it to be a wedding ring, then it's encouraged in this case for us to try to get that person to accept a necklace, a bracelet of similar value, or some other item of jewelry, so that we do not blindly follow the culture and the religion of the people around us. And Allah Ta'ala knows best. Sheikh Asim, you had a concern or a question on that topic?
I also read before that Christians, when they put that on their ring finger, they believe that there's a vein in that finger that goes straight to the heart.
Okay, our brother says the Christians believe there's a vein in that finger that goes straight to the heart. And that may be true, as generally the veins in the fingers will go to the hand, and the hand goes up to the shoulder and eventually to the heart. May be true physiologically, but that doesn't really have any relevance when it comes to the dangers that we've mentioned that go along with that ring. No? And Allah Ta'ala knows best. And the Christians, they have lots of things that they have said about it. It may or may not be true. Shaykh Al-Albani mentioned, rahimahullah ta'ala, that the Christians say the Father, the Son, and then they have their Trinity, the Holy Ghost. They put it on the 3rd finger because they are people of a Trinity, believing in 3 deities, 3 main deities that they worship, while they are polytheists, having many, many deities, saints that they call upon for various things. But from this angle, Shaykh Al-Albani mentioned this, and this may have some foundation in some of the practice of some of the Christians, that they believe that it's the 3rd finger, after the index finger, the middle finger, then the ring finger, and that has some significance as it relates to tathlith, their belief in the Trinity, a system of 3 objects of worship, or a religion of 3 objects of worship. And Allah Ta'ala knows best.
Just a third benefit that Sheikh Muhammad bin Salih al-Uthaymeen mentioned, other than what our Ustad recalled from the belief system of believing that this ring brings harm or benefit if it's removed in resemblance of the disbelievers. He mentioned a third point, which is specific to men, that if the ring is made out of gold, then it enters into a third area of prohibition, as men cannot wear gold.